Good afternoon, my name is Jackie, and the major claim of the advocate is that sentencing those who have committed a murder to the death penalty is beneficial to the United States. Their secondary claims are that the death penalty will make the world a safer place. Their second is an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and a death for a death. And lastly, that crime rates will most likely decrease. My response to their major claim is that sentencing those who have committed a murder to the death penalty is not beneficial to the United States. My response to their secondary claims is that the death penalty is an extremely costly way to make the world a safer place. Hammurabi's code does not offer substantial evidence in capital punishment crimes, and that crime rates will not decrease. The advocate's first claim that death penalty will make the world a safer place does not bother to look at the financial burdens the death penalty will have on the economy. The money spent on capital punishment could be used to reform prisons so that gangs can be broken up and that prisoners who are charged for murder stay in prison. A study done in June 2008 by Commission on the Fair Administration of Justice stated that the additional cost of confining an inmate to death row as compared to the maximum security prisons where they're sentenced to life without possibility of parole ordinarily serve their sentences is $90,000 per year per inmate. With California's current death row population of 690, that accounts for about $63.3 million annually. They also found that by using conservative rough projections, that the annual cost of the present death penalty system would be about $137 million per year, while the cost of the system which imposes a maximum penalty of lifetime incarceration instead of the death penalty would be about $11.5 million a year. That's about $125.5 million difference that the state would be saving each year. Also, American Civil Liberties Union of North California did a report on the hidden death tax, and they found that U.S. taxpayers are paying millions of dollars each year post-trial seeking execution of the people currently on death row. There are several court trials that occur, and many studies have shown that people on death row come from low economic standing and thus are unable to afford their own attorney. This could hurt the United States, since people are paying so much in taxes they may want to leave the country and ruin the economy even more. The second claim, Hammurabi's code does not offer substantial evidence in capital punishment crimes. The advocate's secondary claim spoke of Hammurabi's code, and how it states that if a man put out the eye of another man, his eye shall be put out. But the Eighth Amendment of the United States Constitution states, excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, no cruel and unusual punishment inflicted. Irene Khan, Secretary General of Amnesty International, states that the death penalty is the ultimate cruel, inhumane, and degrading punishment. Beheadings, electrocutions, hanging, lethal injections, shooting, and stonings have no place in the 21st century. Hammurabi's Code is centuries old, and the U.S. follows the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, which were made to better our country. If this rule was followed, it seems like it would be an immediate punishment that would leave no room to prove the innocence of people on death row, and thus make the death penalty even more fallible. The third claim, that crime rates will not decrease. Their third secondary claim was that crime rates will most likely decrease. The advocate commits a sweeping generalization in using the death penalty as a deterrent. She simply uses an example of New York's deterrent rate towards the death penalty, but that does not mean it will work for the entirety of the United States. The Death Penalty Information Center states that for 2008, the average murder rate of death penalty states was 5.2, while the average murder rate of states without death penalty was 3.3. They also found that the states with the highest murder rates per 100,000 people occurred where there was a death penalty statute or law, with Louisiana at number 1 with an 11.9% murder rate, and they have the death row law in 2008, and North Dakota had the lowest murder rate of 0.5%, a state which does not have the death penalty law. In conclusion, sentencing those who have committed a murder to the death penalty is not beneficial to the United States. With abolishment of capital punishment, millions of dollars can be saved. The millions of dollars saved from all these taxes could go to programs that could better rehabilitate the prisoners. It also follows the Bill of Rights, which was written to help better the country as a whole and protect its citizens' freedoms and culture. And lastly, the death penalty cannot be held as a deterrent to murders and crimes because there are currently thousands of people on death row. I hope these have helped you see that the death penalty is not beneficial to the United States. Thank you.
Okay, if the signposting is all fine, you've got a general response that you're going to be making, but it never really developed separately. It's all going to have to be developed on the secondary claims. The signpost on the first point is okay. The economic issue is mostly about costs. You do document what the costs are. The impact of those costs is not really documented. What the impact of that extra $100 million is going to be one way or the other is mostly asserted. You suggest that it could be used to accomplish something else in the prisons, but there's no evidence that that would have an impact, that it would be beneficial, that it would reduce crime or any of those kinds of things. It's just kind of like, well, we could spend it on something else. Okay, but without being able to justify any comparison other than we could spend it on something else, I don't think that helps you very much. But you did a good job documenting the cost issue, and I thought that part was pretty solid. And introducing the cost issue is kind of this hidden point that undermines the benefit. I thought that was reasonable to do. On the second point, your transition's pretty clear, but all of this argument here is a value claim, and you're given a criteria about how we should evaluate this subject. Something outside of the 21st century is not really appropriate. That's all well and good, but the constitutional standard, for instance, may very well allow the death penalty. I don't think you address that directly. You just address whether or not it would be seen as being humane from a social perspective, not a legal perspective. On the third point, you've got a challenge on the generalization. That's okay. I thought that you had some good counter evidence on that point. I'm not sure that comparing North Dakota to Louisiana is as convincing as it could be. The statistics are convincing. That part's helpful. But the nature of the populations of those states, the number of people that you're dealing with, the environments that you're dealing with. I'm not exactly sure the fact that North Dakota doesn't have a lot of murders in it has much to do with the death penalty there. That seems like an awfully big inference to make. All right, thank you.